Hey guys, welcome to Tech News Day.
Hey, do you ever wish there were more options out there for mobile phone carriers? Well, too bad, kid, because your choices are about to become even more limited, at least here in the US, now that Sprint and T-Mobile have announced their intentions to get married. Merge. America's third and fourth favorite mobile telecoms have had a will they, won't they thing going on for years now, but they've finally popped the question, and soon, instead of having 4 choices for your mobile carrier, you'll have 3.
Makes it easier though, less choices. Easy. Now, of course, that adds up to less industry competition overall, making this deal a tough sell to the regulators at the FCC and the Department of Justice who, have to actually approve this. Right? Well, yeah, no shit, but not according to 59-year-old teen heartthrob Jean Leger, who said in the announcement video that this will somehow create robust competition. And alright, he's not entirely off base here. Currently, Verizon and at&t are the big boys of mobile telecom, with Sprint and T-Mobile fighting over the scraps. But with T-Mobile and Sprint joining forces, there will be 3 more or less equal competitors. So they're sort of entering a new zone of competition, but taking away a choice.
Yeah.
Although, when you look at Sprint as a choice, it's not really a choice.
Yeah. Turns out, how you define competition depends a lot on what you actually want.
Exactly.
But yeah, they say that the merger is going to allow them to stop competing against each other and divert those resources towards building the first ever nationwide 5G network, which sounds great, except it's going to take years to actually integrate their 2 networks and build the 5G thing, and they even outright admit that the merger is probably going to take 3 years to actually complete.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, 5G ready phones are supposed to hit the market next year, and both Verizon and at&t could very easily have their own 5G networks ready to go much sooner than T-Mobile and Sprint. So I don't know what the hell they're talking about there.
When you talk about competition, this is actually decent because it's going
motivation, yeah.
It's motivation for at&t and Sprint to up their speeds, and the good thing about it taking a little while is that with 5G phones coming out this year, you technically, if you don't want to, won't have to upgrade over the next couple of years. It's just like how Google Fiber rolls out, and the cities that Google Fiber is available in, all of a sudden, Comcast and other companies are like, oh, we can do that too.
We have fiber too, guys, and we were totally planning on doing it even before Google said anything.
Yeah, we were going to do it. We were planning this for years. You gotta trust us, right? You trust us. But anyways, what does this mean for you, the Sprint or T-Mobile consumer? I use T-Mobile, so I'm interested. Well, eventually, better coverage, but also probably more expensive coverage. So far, John Leger been pretty on the level with what you get versus what you pay, but we'll see now that there's the competition picking up. Sprint and T-Mobile have offered pretty damn cheap packages in recent years because they simply had to in order to survive and, bring customers over. Together, they won't have to do that as much. Now, as for what this means for employees of the 2 companies, a lot of people are probably going to lose their jobs due to redundancy, but there will probably be lots of new jobs on the old infrastructure side, building that whole nationwide 5G network.
Yeah. Start climbing poles, kids.
Head over to the blue collar college.
Yeah. Anyway, all of this, of course, depends on getting regulatory approval, and it's worth remembering that back in 2014, Sprint and T-Mobile were on the verge of a merger before the FCC preemptively shot it down. This is a new FCC, though, run by a guy who clearly does things his own way.
Yeah.
And also, this time the deal might get some serious support from the president because Japanese conglomerate SoftBank owns most of Sprint, and if you'll recall, back in 2016, its chairman and CEO, Masayoshi Son, buttered up Trump by meeting with him to announce a $50 billion investment in US companies and make it seem like it was all because of Trump, even though the plan had already been in place for a while. Which is some real art of the deal shit.
Yeah.
The best way to Trump's heart is to give him credit for something he really had nothing to do with.
Yeah,
and then he's like, I like this guy, Masayoshi. He's a great businessman. He said nice things about me.
The art of the deal is basically handing Trump a beautiful painting and telling him to do exactly painting over it and just, then sign it at the bottom.
Mr. Trump, you're a genius.
Wow, thank you. Speaking of deals though, MoviePass is becoming less of a great deal. Did we call it? We called it. Because who could have possibly guessed that a $10 a month service that lets you see a movie in theaters every single day would be unsustainable?
Who knew?
MoviePass's entire allure was that it sounded too good to be true, and that's because it was. You, the consumer, actually made out like gangbusters on this one.
Good for you.
Now that they've essentially flushed millions of dollars down the toilet, they're pulling in the reins with a much more limited plan. New subscribers will still pay $9.95 a month, but they'll only be able to see 4 movies a month. and they can only see any given movie one time. Can't see it twice. Still a good deal.
Yeah.
Technically, if you can make it out to all 4.
Yeah, I mean, the days of being able to absolutely exploit the shit out of MoviePass and just spend every night at the movie theater for $10 a month, those days are over, to the absolute shock of literally no one who understands how money works. The new deal is way more limited, but to be fair, $10 for 4 movies, still a great deal.
Yeah.
MoviePass fans on social media, they've been bitching for days about how they feel betrayed, but bro, come on. You're still saving a ton of money, so relax.
Yeah.
$10 for 4 movies, still a hell of a lot better than $40 to $60 for 4 movies. And I mean, you're complaining now, but when MoviePass inevitably goes out of business, and it will, because they literally haven't made any money, you're gonna miss what you have.
Yeah.
So just
The good times are now.
Use it before you lose it.
Yeah, exactly. Moving on though, remember Snapchat spectacles? I know I do. People drove hundreds of miles and lined up for hours to get their hands on these sunglasses with a shitty camera built in. But once the initial hype died down, everyone sort of forgot about them. Mine are gathering dust in my closet above everything else. I tried to let my brother even use them. He's like, nah. Yeah. It was all just a novelty, though, to be fair. It was a pretty cool novelty for a very limited amount of time. It actually helped people realize how boring their lives actually were.
Yeah.
Like, because if you're not on a roller coaster or at a music festival, like, you're just walking down the street.
It's the same thing with owning a GoPro. Everyone wants a GoPro, like, this is so cool. And they're like,
fuck, I don't know how to ride motorcycles.
I just sit on I sit in my cubicle all day, and I sit on the couch on the weekend, and I don't go outside hardly ever.
Yeah,
Why do I own this action camera?
I bought my GoPro because I knew I was gonna go skiing, and I never used it again. Well, anyways, Snapchat spectacles, guess what? They're back, baby. For whatever reason, Snap Incorporated looked at all the data available to them and at their warehouse full of unsold spectacles and decided, we've lost a ton of money on this shit. Let's double down on that.
Yeah.
Gotta spend money to make money. It's
That's
the
what they
MoviePass
say.
plan.
It's the first rule of business.
Yeah.
So Snapchat Spectacles 2 feature the same hideous design as the original, although there's a few new color options. And this time the camera has a better resolution and it's water resistant, so you can go underwater, but just a little bit.
Yeah, get one of those the action bands that you tie to the back of your head so they don't fall off when you're windsurfing.
Oh, also they cost $150. So, I don't know, by our logic, we'd assume that anyone who was actually interested in owning this kind of product already bought a pair the first time around just a year and a half ago, and therefore has no reason to buy a newer, more expensive model that's only marginally better. But hey, what do we know?
All I know is I'm gonna sell my original pair in 25 years when they're a novelty to a bunch of teenagers.
Yeah.
Like owning a Furby today. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. We think this is a bad idea, but hey, we're not over in Venice Beach making the big bucks, so surely this will be what saves Snap from falling into irrelevance and bankruptcy.
Yeah, I knew Snap was in a bad place, then over the weekend they're like, all right, we're introducing non-skippable pre-roll ads. It's like, oh, you mean your business model's not working? Huh. Who would have thought? Anyways, let's check in with some bigger, actually successful companies now, though, like Facebook, who tried to buy Snapchat, got rejected, and then just decided to steal all of Snapchat's features and integrate them into Instagram.
Whoops.
Yeah, Facebook had their F8 event this week, nothing to do with Fast and Furious at all. I was very disappointed.
Fate of the Facebook.
Yeah, and it was actually still ongoing while we're recording this, so we might have missed some of the big reveals, but as you might assume, the whole vibe has been a bit awkward given the timing. Facebook's big annual event to reveal all the fun stuff they're working on just so happens to be taking place a little over a month after the whole Cambridge Analytica user data scandal broke. So, update, as of the time that we filmed this, right before I got here, I saw the news article that Cambridge Analytica is shutting down.
Oh,
and I thought they had already done that.
I mean, I think they were waiting for this whole thing to blow over.
And then it didn't.
Guys, it's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, hey.
No, we're Harvard Analytica. I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, I don't know why they would shut down. They have the best, they have proof that their shit works.
Yeah.
Like, guys, we got fucking Donald Trump elected.
If you're gonna be evil, and you're found out being evil, just double down on that. Don't double down on spectacles.
Yeah.
Double down on evil. Because at least it's out in the open now.
Yeah. You know what you're getting.
Yeah.
So anyway, obviously Mark Zuckerberg, he kicked off this event by talking about how Facebook is a force for good in the world, and guys, we're so sorry for allowing Russian election interference to run wild all over our platform. We're so sorry. And so on. But anyways, as for the actual news, Facebook is launching a built-in dating app to compete with shit like Tinder and OkCupid.
Oh, okay.
Because of course, the Zuck, he didn't provide a lot of details, but he did say the dating stuff won't be viewable to a user's friends because, can you imagine?
Yeah.
It will only suggest matches outside of someone's friend group. Good. I mean, it's like
It's strange.
after exploiting everyone's data so much for
Can you
like marketing
trust-
purposes, at least now they're using it to try to get you laid.
I mean, sure, but can you trust like your relationship to a company that's openly selling all of your data?
Probably not, but I mean, I don't know. Like as much as in our world people came out pretty hard against Facebook, in my actual Facebook profiles world,
No one cares.
it's been business as usual this whole fucking time.
Yeah. Well,
All these fucking aunts and uncles and old people and cousins in the rural areas, they don't give a shit. Facebook is their only portal to the world.
it's true.
They don't care if Facebook dips a little bit into their personal lives.
Hey, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I sit on the desk every day. I do nothing. What's Facebook going to say about me?
Yeah.
There you go. In other news, though, the Oculus Go, the $199 standalone VR headset, is now available, offering a decent VR experience at a consumer-friendly price in a move that's clearly meant to push VR further into the mainstream. It's basically what Google Daydream is, except instead of sticking your phone in a headset, the headset contains everything that you need. Probably filled with all those old Amazon phones they could never sell. Early reviews, they're pretty positive so far, mainly thanks to the fact that there's 1,000 apps and games available at launch, giving anyone who drops the coin on this thing plenty of stuff to do right off the bat.
Yeah, that's smart, because when Google launched Daydream, there wasn't anything to do.
Want to play a Harry Potter game?
Yeah, it was like, we have a Harry Potter game and you can read the New York Times in VR.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you could watch a terribly loaded video because it's all on wireless, and if you're in the
your
experience,
face is gonna get real hot.
yeah, if you feel like you're immersed in it, just wait because there's a buffering coming up.
Yeah, I wonder how hot this thing gets.
Yeah, the Google Daydream would just shut off after 30
Yeah, it would
minutes.
get dangerously hot.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is cool, but still, it's hard to imagine what kind of person is actually gonna buy it. I mean, people who are serious about VR have plenty of expensive, high quality options out there, and people who are casually interested in it still have plenty of phone-based options that cost like $30 and you just drop your phone in. So, I don't know, the best case scenario we can picture is the Oculus Go being purchased in bulk by like amusement parks and museums and schools for specific purposes, not so much for personal use. But anyway, speaking of VR, turns out Apple is actually planning on showing up to the VR party very, very late. They're
Smart.
popping in at 2 a.m. with a fresh bottle of Smirnoff.
It's smart on their part.
It actually...
Let everyone else fuck everything up.
Yeah. Yeah, and they plan to make up for lost time by releasing a VR headset with absolutely ridiculous specs.
And a pen that cost $100.
You can write in the air.
This is all based on a report out of CNET that cites unnamed sources close to Apple, but the project is supposedly slated for release in 2020, and the headset will feature a resolution of 8K per eye. It'll also be wirelessly connected to a dedicated box, feature inside-out tracking, and support both virtual reality and augmented reality. So with the current available technology, these specs alone mean that the headset will be ridiculously expensive and power-hungry, but they got a few years to work out the kinks, I guess. Since this is Apple, it'll probably be super expensive, as we said before, when it's released, and it'll be interesting to see if the cult of Apple jumps into the VR headset head first, just like they have with other Apple products.
Yeah.
So that's...
I don't know. It's like...
You see that? Now you can dance with Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. I'm dancing I am the clock. Woo! Look at me.
I can with augmented reality, I can bring Mickey with me anywhere I want to go. If you need a quick pick-me-up, there he is.
Yeah. I mean, it all depends on apps. The Oculus Go thing, like, if the apps are cool enough and useful enough, it'll get adopted.
Yeah.
Like,
they have to put because Apple relies heavily on the creative crowd, so they'd have to put something in it where you can where it hooks to your MacBook Pro wherever you're at, and you can draw or do something to edit and it puts whatever you're seeing live into the computer as well as your edits. Like there has to be something to it that is there for the people that actually buy Apple products for a reason.
If it's augmented reality, we keep seeing mock-ups of the productivity potential of AR, but no one's ever actually really done it in a way.
The HoloLens is very disappointing when you put it on.
Well, I mean, it's a prototype, but it looks like ass.
Mm-hmm.
But Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it will really do good things for VR and AR if it's adopted, but I can't see their iPhone market buying it. I can see their MacBook Pro and regular Mac users and people that spent $100 on a pencil buying it, but depends on what it can do, honestly. If it's just for games and shit, whatever.
Could also just never get made. I mean, Apple has entire departments dedicated to products that never get released.
Yeah.
They were building a car a while back. They probably still are. I mean, so this could be nothing. But anyway, enough about big, slick tech companies being all big and slick. Let's get the slickest boy around, Phil Arrigo, in here to switch gears and talk about fingerprints and DNA. Get excited, everyone.
All right.
All right, I know you guys hear about Florida Man quite a bit, but let's talk about his spin-off show called Florida Cops. On March 30th, Linus Phillip was pulled over for having illegally tinted windows, and the cops, they claimed to smell marijuana coming from his car. In a sad and violent scene, Phillip tried to jump back into his car, allegedly almost killed a cop while trying to drive away, and was shot by a police officer. The cops claim they found a significant amount of cocaine and marijuana in the car. So at the scene, the Florida cops tried to unlock Phillip's phone with the fingerprint of his dead hand, and it didn't work. So 2 days later, a couple of Florida cops went to the funeral home where Phillip's body and his still alive fiancée were. The officers were given access to Phillip's corpse, which seemed a little weird, but when they got there, they pressed his finger against his phone in an attempt to unlock it. So this whole situation is sad and fucked up and weird, but it draws a parallel to people who are still alive, like you and me, when law enforcement wants to access our phones. So here's the super duper short version that applies to you, still alive person, and me. The cops cannot demand that you give them the password to unlock your phone, but they can demand use of your fingerprint to unlock it. So here's the legal reasoning behind this, explained by Marcia Hoffman of the EFF. If you are being forced to divulge something that you know, that's not okay. And that refers to the password you might have on your phone. But if the government is able, through other means, to collect evidence that just exists, then they certainly can do that without stepping on the toes of the constitutional protection. See, that part refers to your fingerprint, because this thing just exists. So here are the steps that you can take if you're worried about this. If you're super paranoid, you gotta turn off the option to unlock your phone with your fingerprint or your face and make it password only. If you're too lazy for that, which I know that you and me are, here you go. If you have an iPhone, first go into the settings to disable the 911 auto call. Then, if you're worried the cops might use your face or fingerprint to unlock your phone, you see some cops, you just click the power button 5 times, and this brings up the emergency shutdown screen. So, to get back in your phone once you've done this, Face ID and Touch ID are disabled, and you're gonna have to put in your passkey or your password. So boom, take that, coppers. If you're rocking Android P, enable the show lockdown option in security settings, and then you can activate this type of setting right from your lock screen. Bam! We beat the cops. Well, I mean, these are helpful when you're traveling across a border, or if you're lazy, you can just shut your phone down, and the same thing, you're gonna have to put your password in when you turn your phone on. Now, those things are really cool, but the coppers got one up on us because law enforcement has access to a product called Gray Key, which is a little box that hooks up to iPhones that brute forces its way through passwords and apparently can unlock all iPhones, even the fancy, expensive iPhone 10 running the newest OS with all the security fixes. I have a feeling that whatever exploit that uses this, it's going to be patched when the next version of iOS comes out. But what we're seeing here is a game of cat and mouse that has no end in sight. Apple's going to fix it. Cops are going to find a company who's not fixing that. Oh, what's that? You may have heard the Golden State Killer's been caught. How'd they get him? DNA. So a quick catch-up if you don't know who the Golden State Killer is. He's a terrible human being who committed 12 murders, more than 50 rapes, and over 100 burglaries in California from 1974 to 1986. Most people heard about this case when Michelle McNamara wrote the book I'll Be Gone in the Dark, One Woman's Obsessive Search for the Golden State Killer. Michelle was married to Patton Oswalt, which is why some of you may have heard of her, and unfortunately died before the book's release, which is kind of what helped get this big push to the media. So, okay, now you're caught up to speed. Why should you be freaked out about how they caught this dude? Well, basically they submitted DNA found at a crime scene to a DNA testing site, GED match, and here we are. We've talked about DNA testing sites in the past, and yes, you can possibly find out your ethnic breakdown or that you got a long-lost brother or sister. How cool is that? It's the 90s. Well, what's not cool is that when you give these companies your DNA, you're not protected under HIPAA, which is a law that prevents doctors and hospitals from divulging your medical details to third parties without your explicit consent. I mean, me as a human, am I happy they caught this piece of shit and that he's gonna rot in prison till he dies? Absolutely! But this is the first high-profile case to show that there's a dark side to sending your DNA through the mail to some random company to find out if you're part Icelandic, or I don't know what you're really looking for in this. First, you don't know what's gonna happen to your DNA in the long term. So if 23andMe or this company or some other one, if they get bought down the line, that new person who bought the company or that new corporation now owns your DNA and literally can do whatever they want with it. Can they clone you and make a sex slave? Sure thing, if they have that sort of technology. Secondly, even GED Match's privacy policy admits this whole thing should give you pause before spitting in a tube and mailing it to some lab. This is their own privacy policy. Let me savor this little one. We try to strike a balance between these conflicting realities and the need to share information with other users. In the end, if you require absolute privacy and security, we must ask that you don't upload your data to GED Match. If you already have it here, please delete it. So there you have it, another Tech News Day, another reminder that your phone isn't locked, even when it's locked, and that your DNA is everywhere and the cops are gonna find you if you killed a bunch of people. So, I'll fix that. To end on a lighter note, I managed to make it nearly a week and not have Infinity War spoiled for me. Basically, I'm a nerd and I want to see it at the TCL Chinese Theater, which is a true laser 3D IMAX theater, but they held the premiere for the movie there, so this weekend was blacked out, and my buddy who I'm going with, he couldn't go today, so I'm seeing it tonight at 7 p.m., and somehow, in 2018, I managed to not have a single thing spoiled about this movie. I know you're screaming at us. There it is. Ricky Hayberg, everybody. How did I do this? It's a really boring answer. I kind of stayed off Twitter all weekend. I didn't go on Reddit, even though I don't really subscribe to a lot of those subreddits that would ruin it for me. And I avoided all the websites, all that Gawker bullshit that's like, the 10 reasons why Thanos, blah, blah, blah. And thankfully, Ricky Elliott and all these other people I hang around with, they were really respectful and didn't ruin it for me. So, Ricky, to answer your Twitter poll, how long do you need to wait before discussing a movie? I think a week. Because if everyone goes out and sees this at the first weekend, if you can't make it, if you got kids, or if you're working, you got one more week before you gotta get your shit together and see that movie. Otherwise,
you're not gonna feel so good.
You're not gonna feel good when some asshole at a diner or McDonald's or in a car next to you is talking on their Bluetooth thing. So anyway, I say it's a week. I'm gonna go see that movie tonight. And that's a rap fact. Batman dies!
All right, thanks, Phil. Enjoy Avengers. I got into a conversation last night, and I was like, here's the thing, because my friend was like, well, I just watched Blade Runner 2049. And I was like, well, okay. First of all, there's not really too much you can spoil there.
Yeah, and not the people that saw that movie are a very specific crowd.
So what I said is also, with the amount of money that Avengers made in the box office over the weekend, that it made more in 3 days than Blade Runner 2049 did in its entire run.
Yeah.
So who are we waiting for with these spoilers? Everyone's seen it, except for you, the person getting mad right now. But I agree, a week, maybe 2 weekends, so 10 days. Then it's up to you if you're on social media and you see something.
Yeah, but guys, the spoiler protections are eventually going to float away.
Yeah.
It's just gonna turn to dust, and you're not gonna feel so good.
Anyways, if you want to learn more about spoilers, head over to our live podcast with TV's Joel Rubin, where we spoke about the Avengers Infinity War at length, and also the White House Correspondents' Dinner. So check out that video and a brand new episode of Tugs where if you cheat at a game, you might get arrested. Because some people actually have. Cyber police. Open the door. They're going to backtrace you.